these contradictions. So I put a little, almost a teasing statement. It appears that all these activities occurring, which often by the religious community is funneled, supported, is their justified need for another sermon.
Yeah, but Conell, I must just say, a lot of people might be offended by, they might say, well, you're attacking the Christian church or something. So I think it is really important to make a distinction between the teachings, which I believe you have done in your book, the teachings of Jesus versus the church's interpretation of them. And I mean, just as an example, I'd like to
Yes.
use the the COVID scenario, where in the United Kingdom we had the Archbishop Justin Welby, who's the head of the Anglican Church, which has branches in all the countries, and we had him on TV and in the news saying Jesus would say, get boosted to, and so, and my experience of Jesus, I grew up in a Christian household, and my experience of Jesus is that he would never say get boosted and vaccinated for others. He would say protect the children, and and the truth will set you free. The truth will set you free. He wasn't for, and he certainly was somebody who was standing up for our rights and against human rights violations and against money as well. In my
That
experience,
is precisely the theme. What you're saying there is to address the perversion thereof, and it's the perversions that I'm critical of in the book, and showing that, for instance, where there is a certain propagation, like the example that you make, I say that's not how Jesus is to be or would lend himself to. That's misrepresenting of Jesus, and that's a perversion of actual principles of Jesus, and promoting that element, that purity of element, which leans towards preservation of my brother and my sister, preservation of love, the advancing of their interest, hence that element of love. So I take those points of where they say God is love. So if God is love, then love is your God. Then what does love say? Is this really our God? And if we then love Jesus, what does Jesus say? Didn't he say, now go and do likewise? Are we doing that? And it's that, with that challenge, is intended for the religious to do the introspection and ask oneself, what am I doing? How am I contributing to the existing state of affairs? Am I helping for love to reign supreme in our society, in all my actions, or am I suppressing of what I propagate to be my belief and faith? Am I doing Jesus justice, or am I nailing him to the cross again and just remembering the calendar event?
yes, I think that's what you're saying is really it really resonates with me. And when one talks about love and God being synonymous almost, I think there's also that the from the Christian perspective, we're made in the image of God. So I think that love thing is really it's self-love. If you love yourself, if you love God, you've got to love yourself because you're made in the image of God, and so it's self-work that's required, isn't it? It's self-mastery, you could say, developing that love of self, getting over those traumas that have marked you and diminished you as an individual, and perhaps shaped your behavior and perspectives towards others, and work on yourself and love yourself. When you've got to that place of love yourself, then you're able to love others too. And I think, I think that
Interesting you
has to be the
touch on
case for each.
traumas. Tess. Traumas, I addressed that in there as well.
Traumas, yes, traumas. We are all traumatized.
That's in the book as well.
Individually and collectively. It's so important. I know we've got to end soon, but do touch a bit on the traumas, because certainly South Africans, for example, are highly traumatized. There's so much collective trauma
Yes.
in that, and I believe, in the United Kingdom, also all societies hold this collective trauma that comes from being colonized by the pirates, by the corporations who have, who have stolen from us so much, including our humanity.
Yes, absolutely. That is definitely, I do address the issue of traumas, which informs how we relate. And you can particularly see, I made some small examples to people. I say, if you look, for instance, just in the South African Parliament, what is the spirit in which they address each other? I say, why you? There's anger. It's a war-like style that is unresolved anger, that with which there's no tolerance for the next. Almost if the other wants to give an answer, then they ask a rhetorical question. And it's almost the point, why do you ask the question if you have already the answer? But it's just to defeat.
Yes, I mean, we saw that with the Americans, with the elections or the selections of the health secretary, the Health and Human Services secretary, the way they spoke to one another in those hearings was
Say that again, Tess. I couldn't hear that very well.
Oh, in the American selection of the Health and Human Secretary, eventually Robert F. Kennedy was selected, but the grueling received and the anti-human treatment, the conduct toward one another, was just, it was unwatchable, really, to see human beings behaving that way towards one another. And we need to, you can just see the whole system is designed to keep the hostility, to keep the red against the blue, to keep this race against that race, this religion against that religion, just to keep everybody constantly divided, and now the gender issues and all of that. And the more they can keep us identifying with some label that they've put on us, or political party, the less we can see one another and relate to one another, just as human beings who belong together.
That's it.
So I'm looking forward to reading your book, and I hope others will read it. We'll put a link to it on the article. But do you have another?
Yes, I will make available another link, and I'll send it to a colleague. I'm just waiting on the publishers to establish another PhD, so for South Africa and for the UK and for the US and other parts of the world as well, so that because I do have a story to tell about Amazon as well.
Well, Conell, thank you so much. Thank you for starting the conversation and having this conversation with me. And I look forward to reading your book, Love's Revolution, and I hope it does very well, because we certainly need to have more of these sorts of conversations.
Thank you for having me, Tess.
There's a bit of a delay. In actual fact, just on the...
I heard you on that. I heard you on that.
Good, yes. I'll just show you my hand heart.
I got that, and I said thank you for having me, and it's a huge honor to stimulate that interest within the community of World Council of Health, which I've come to find a space where truth can survive and resonate and be enhanced. I really love this space. Thank you, Tess.
Wonderful. Thanks, Conell. And I'll just show you my hand heart, sending a bit of love to you today and everybody who's watching. This is our Spread Love campaign, and we're encouraging everybody just to share a bit of love with a hand heart. So I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.